Have you ever wondered why you suddenly feel distant from the people you once called friends? Why conversations that once excited you now feel empty? Why gatherings you used to enjoy suddenly drain your spirit? What if I told you this shift is not rejection? It's God's protection. It's not abandonment. It's an awakening. When a man or woman begins to wake up spiritually, something remarkable happens. They begin to notice the world around them no longer feels the same. The things that once brought comfort start to feel shallow. The people they used to laugh with now feel like strangers. And although this change feels uncomfortable, it is often the sign that God is preparing you for something greater, because God cannot elevate you if you are still tied to what is holding you down. He cannot bring you into your true purpose while you're still tangled in the noise of the crowd. And so, little by little, He begins to separate you, not because He wants you lonely, but because He wants you ready. When God begins to awaken you, He gently pulls you away from the familiar. At first, it doesn't even make sense. You just notice that certain conversations don't satisfy you anymore. Gossip feels like poison in your ears. Jokes that once made you laugh now feel hollow. And here's the tension. You're not bitter and you're not arrogant. You've simply changed. The Spirit of God is drawing you away from the noise because He wants to train your ear to hear His still, small voice. Remember what Jesus said in John 10:27. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. When His voice begins to take priority, the voices of the crowd naturally fade. But here's where the struggle comes in. People will notice the change. They will say you've become distant. Some will call you too quiet. Others may even say you've changed, and they're right, you have, but they don't understand why. You are no longer chasing their approval. You're no longer performing just to fit in. You are learning that belonging to Christ is far more valuable than belonging to a circle that doesn't understand your calling. And this is the test. Can you endure being misunderstood without running back to what God is calling you out of? Because the truth is, you can't wake up spiritually and still live like you're asleep. Now let's be honest, this separation can feel like loneliness. You look around and suddenly the crowd is smaller, the phone doesn't ring as much, and the invitations stop coming. But what if I told you that solitude is not loneliness? It's preparation. Moses was alone when God called him from the burning bush. David was alone in the fields before he ever faced Goliath. Even Jesus often withdrew from the crowd to pray. God often does His greatest work in your life when He has you alone. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Notice, it doesn't say be busy or be surrounded. It says be still, because it's in the stillness, away from the noise, that you finally recognize His hand on your life. Although separation feels uncomfortable, it is also liberating, because once you step away, you begin to see clearly what you couldn't see before. You realize that many relationships were built on habit, not depth. That much of what you called connection was just performance. That people often bond over complaints, status, or shared illusions rather than truth. And here's the breakthrough. You no longer feel the need to play along. You stop pretending just to be accepted. And when you stop pretending, a new kind of freedom takes root inside you. Furthermore, this awakening changes how you view relationships. You no longer crave crowds. You begin to value fewer but deeper connections, friendships that are not built on performance but on truth, relationships where both people are whole in Christ and they walk together not because they need each other to feel complete, but because they choose to encourage each other in the Lord. This is why Jesus Himself said in Matthew 7:14, "Because strait is the gate and narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it." Few find it, meaning few will walk with you on this narrow path. And that's okay, because God's plan was never to fill your life with people. It was to fill your heart with His Spirit and surround you with the right ones at the right time. So, if you're feeling that pull, if you sense that God is creating distance between you and the crowd, don't resist it. Don't chase back what He's calling you out of. This is not rejection. This is not abandonment. This is awakening. God is preparing you for clarity, for purpose, for strength. He is teaching you to walk without applause, to stand without constant validation, and to live in truth even when truth costs you comfort. And one day you will look back and thank Him, not for what He gave you, but for what He separated you from. Because only then will you realize that solitude was never your prison. It was your training ground.